Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Lilo Siegel and it is my pleasure to show you tips and hints all around the theme sewing to make it easy. And that is what my playlist is called as well, Sewing Made Easy. But it's not only about sewing, it is also about making patterns. And this video today is exactly about that, because I am going to show you how relatively easy it is how to draw your own trousers for your size, for your measurements, to really fit perfectly. This is not a pattern for a pair of jeans as an example, because I usually want much tighter. It is a classical trouser pattern which you can see on lots of men's suits or on women's suits as well, with a straight leg going down and with a real perfect fit. So why should I talk about it? Why don't we just get to the work? So get all your tools together that you might need for this, and then we can start. Here we go. Before we start with the drawing, of course, we need our exact measurements for the trousers I like to do. These particular measurements I've chosen to be able to explain it to you correctly, and there are approximately, according the measurements of an EU men's size 52. So what you need is, first of all, the lengths which you like to have for your trousers. Now the lengths depends on from where your trousers should start. Will they start exactly in the waist, or will they start on the waist size? I call it waist size now because that's where your belt will be. It's actually the belt size. Because on men's trousers you can see it that the trousers actually never start really in the real waist. It just starts where the belt line is, and that is a little bit lower. You can see this here. Automatically it goes a little bit bigger, that measurement, because the waist is slightly smaller. So decide, will your trousers start in the actual waist, or on the waistline or the belt line, as I would like to say. So from there on, which you decide on, you measure all the way to the hem. And here, this is then the actual finished length of the trousers. Because the way we're going to draw the pattern, there will be nowhere any seam allowances. So as an example for the length of the trousers, later on, when the pattern is finished, you will add, as an example, 3 centimeters for your seam, for your hem allowance on the bottom. So I mentioned this is your first measurement besides the waist or the belt line. Then you need this inner measurement from that point to the bottom again of your trousers. And you need the hip measurement, which you take on the strongest part on your hips all the way around. And you need the width of the trousers on the bottom, your foot width, as we call it. Now, you can also take the measurement of your tight, because that is important. If you have very strong tights, then it is necessary just before you're totally finished with the pattern to control it, that you got enough width in there. So this is only for your control. That's why I didn't even put a measurement down here, but I like to mention it that you should do this. The way I will explain it to you, I will also put a little pleat in here for width in the front trousers, and I will show you how to do 2 darts in the back, which is necessary if you have very strong hips. And I tell you in which position you can do pockets in the trousers as well. But that is all for the beginning, what you got to measure, what you got to prepare, and then we can start with the actual drawing.
To draw the pattern, we start with the front trousers. Therefore, draw one straight line on your paper exactly in the length of the side length trousers that you measured. In my case, 1 meter and 8 centimeters. This is our first helping line and will be later on the side of the trousers. So now, from your first point on the top, draw a right angle line across, which will be your waistline. Do the same on the bottom. In a right angle, draw a little bit across because this is the finished length of your trousers. Now you take the measurement of your inside leg. In my case, this was 82 centimeters, and you measure it from the bottom up 82 centimeters and make your mark right there. On this mark from my inside leg point, I again have to draw a right angle right away from my helping line on the left side, as you can see, because I need this for all the next works we got to do. Take this measurement of 82 and half it, which means 41 centimeters, and add 6.5 centimeters and draw this towards the top. And again from that point you draw a right angle line across approximately on the width how your front leg will be. Now we concentrate on the line of our inside leg. Take 1/4 of your hip measurements and add 0.75 centimeters and draw it towards the right side on the line that you can see here. That means in my case I will draw a point on 27.75 centimeters to the right. The extra 0.75 centimeters is actually for the little pleat that we're going to have on the waist. From this new point on, mark now 1/20th of your hip measurement, which in my case is 5.4 centimeters, and again mark that over to the right side. Measure from this new point all the way to your long line, your side line, how many centimeters you got there. Exactly half it, and make yourself a point, a little mark on half of that complete width you have there. And through this new point in the middle, over the line, make a long line all the way to the top and to the bottom in a right angle. And this new line that you're drawing now will be exactly the middle of your front trousers where you might like to iron a pleat. Now go down to the foot line and take 1/4 of your foot width measurement minus 1 centimeter and mark to both sides the amount you worked out. In my case I got 9.5 centimeters, which I now mark to the left and to the right from my front middle line. From those two new points that I just marked, I again have to draw a right angle upwards from each of those points, and I will measure them on 8 centimeters from the bottom up, because that bottom part of the trousers should definitely be on the first centimeters in a right angle. Next, go to your knee helping line and again take 1/4 of your foot width and mark this one on each of the side, the same as you practically did downstairs, besides that you do not have these centimeters less as on the bottom of the trousers. Now take a long ruler and connect the point on the 8 centimeters on the bottom to the new points you made on the knee line. Then keep the long ruler in your hands and connect from your next helping line, which is just above, connect those 2 points again to a line. And you can see that these bottom 2 corners, they should definitely be in a right angle before the leg towards the top goes wider. And these lines we will later on smooth out a little bit. Now you might remember we had another point up here on this line, but we hadn't drawn a right angle towards the top, towards the waist. And exactly that's what you got to do next, first of all. Now take your measurement and from that point measure 3 centimeters upwards, make a little mark, and make some little marks as only helping lines across to the right side of your corner from the front trousers. Now go to the waist and make a mark on 0.5 centimeters on the front right, and then go to your middle line and mark twice 1.5 centimeters towards the left, because those two marks will be the pleat that you can fold over directly over the middle of your trousers for a nice fall. Now we got to work out the next formal. Therefore, take a quarter of your waist size and add 3 centimeters. The added 3 centimeters is actually the 3 centimeters I calculated up here for the pleat. So my measurement now is 27.5 centimeters, which I will measure now from my new little mark on the right side top there towards the left. And now you will see that my measurement will slightly go over that line, which I called the side helping line before. But do not hesitate or think you're doing something wrong in case if your mark stays inside that line, because that first of all depends on your hip size that you got, and it depends on the pleats you put in. As an example, if you only put a 2 centimeter deep instead of a 3 centimeter deep one in, that means your measurement up there on the top will be in a different position. So, but now it's time to look at the front where our zipper will be. So from this 0.5 centimeter mark on the top, draw a slight sideways line towards your 3 centimeter point down there, and then smooth out by hand, or if you have a fitting ruler, the front little area where your front zipper will later on, when you sew the part, will be stitched in. So officially our front trousers are actually finished, but of course we have to smooth out all our straight lines that we got everywhere, because nobody would do a pattern like that. So take a fitting ruler that you got, or also by hand if you're well with that, and even out lovely all those curves that you got in the knee area, and of course now in your hip. The first little bit on the top you should definitely, on the first 2 or 3 centimeters, again do in a right angle to the waist, before you then smooth out the seam all the way over your hip. And latest by now, you should consider and think about it. Where would you like to have a pocket? Or do you even want one? It's of course not necessary, but it always looks better, and you always need one, as we know. So what do you like to do? Do you like to do a side pocket, which means it's directly in the seam of your side seam, added in? Or would you like to make a sideways going pocket, or even a welt pocket? Of course, it all depends on how good you are with sewing, but there again, if you're not so firm with it yet, there's in my playlist so many different pockets, how to do them. So have a look, and I'm sure you can learn that as well. But I explained to you how you can draw them, or better to say in which positions you should add your pockets and draw them into your pattern. So let's take the case you want a sideways going pocket. So go on your waistline, measure 5 centimeters over to the right. Then measure 20 centimeters down from the top, and again from the top on your sideways line, which you draw between those two new points, mark 4 centimeters down, because from there on the opening for your approximately 16 centimeters big pocket should be, because 16 centimeters is the normal size for pockets to get your hand in properly, and not for the pocket to be too baggy. And if you would like to do a welt or a double welt pocket, I tell you all about the position as well. Mark 4 centimeters on your side seam downwards first of all, then another 16 down. Again, you can see there is our 16 already for the length. From those 2 points on the bottom, make a little right angle. From your new side seam on, it's only a helping line. Look the same on the top, so make on the top and the bottom this little helping line, and then on the bottom 3.5 centimeters to the right, and on the top 5.5 centimeters to the right. Then connect those 2 new points with each other and mark in exactly what you wish to do, if it's supposed to be a 1 welded or a 2 double welded pocket which you like to put in this position. So I'm going to mark this a little bit in a different color so it does not get too difficult for you to see which 2 pockets I got drawn in here in these particular trousers. And that is absolutely all you need to do for the front trousers. Now please cut it completely out, because we will need it now as a pattern practically to do the back trousers. So here you can see now my cut out front, exactly cut out on the finished edges. Do not forget that none of this pattern does have any seam allowances yet. So I will put this on a new piece of drawing paper, and I first of all extend my line to the left and the right in the knee area, and I do the same on the helping line above. But now we go to the bottom, to the foot, and you please add on each side 2 centimeters to the left and right, and you mark 8 centimeters up, which is actually exactly the same which we did on the front trousers with the 8 centimeters, as you might remember. Now go to the top, and from your finished edge of your front trousers, mark 2 centimeters again to the right, 2 centimeters to the left. Now take a long ruler and connect from the 8 centimeter mark on the bottom, connect it with the knee mark which you just put there. Now we concentrate on the line above it. Now we go to our helping line above, and we work out 1/20th of our hip measurement plus 1 centimeter, in my case 6.4, and mark it from my corner front trousers to the right and put a mark right there. And right away I can take my long ruler and connect it with my knee point, which we've just done earlier on. From our cross point, where I'm just putting the pen in, because you know that was our front middle, you will mark now 1 centimeter to the right on that line, as we will now draw a long straight line from the knee crossing point over our 1 centimeter point above, all the way to the top, even farther on than the actual waist that we got there. So this new line, which we've just marked on the paper, will be the middle of your back trousers. And now we got to measure the lengths from our new 2 points. That means from your farthest right point to this new centimeter point, not to the actual middle from the front trousers that you got, no, the middle from the back trousers. So measure this part out. Now put your ruler exactly on this 1 centimeter new point that we made for the back middle, and mark exactly that distance that you measured on the right over to the left side. And you can imagine what you got to do now is you connect again the knee point with this new corner that you've just marked, and you extend this line a bit farther towards the top, approximately on the height on your waist. From the new helping line over this new cross point right there, you will now have to work out 1/4 of your hip measure plus 2.5 centimeter. In my case, I have 29.5. Draw that amount from the point in a right angle from your long side seam that you've just drawn as a helping line towards the right. And measure exactly your widths that you worked out there with your formula and make yourself a mark on 29.5 or on your measurement exactly on that new line that you've just drawn. And again, after you mark this point, you will need a right-angled ruler again. Put it on this new line in the right angle and make a long line all the way to the top above your waistcoat again. You can also draw it slightly downwards. That is up to you. It helps later on for the next jobs. And now we have to measure some lines that we do have already and mark them towards some other lines. So measure the side seam from your front trousers from the knee upwards to the waist, and then take exactly that measurement from your new side from the back trousers and mark it from the knee upwards and make a mark there. Now, from the middle of your front trousers, measure to your new point, which you've just made on the left corner on the top, and make a mark straight up on your back middle line. And again, now you measure from the knee or from your front trousers to your corner that you had there, and take that measurement and mark it over to the back trousers point that you got right there. This will be like 1 centimeter or 2 underneath. It doesn't seem to be much looking at my small pattern here, but you will see it has a lot to do with how the trousers will fit later on. Now take your ruler and connect those new 2 points that you've just made on the top. And now you can see already that your back trousers are starting to get the shape we need. And again, we need to work out a formal. So take 1/4 of your waist size plus 4 centimeter, which is for the darts that we will draw. In my case, I have a measurement of 28.5 and mark that from the top right towards the left. And your new point can lie slightly over your line that you have on the left side, or it can be lying inwards. That all depends on the size that you do have and how you worked out your measurements. And make sure you're measuring from this new point that I created up there. Look at my ruler where I put it on and where I showed you with my finger. From there on, you got to measure that 28.5 or your measurement towards the left. I just noticed that this line right here is a little bit too short for me, so I extend that a little bit. And in that moment, when we've got all that done, we can take our front trousers off. And I also marked the middle of the bottom of the trousers to be able to draw my line through the middle for the back trousers, so I know where the middle is. So first of all, take again a long ruler and finish all the lines all the way through so you can see them well. And take a long ruler and mark your middle for the back trousers all the way through. When that is done, we will mark the darts. Measure exactly the distance from your new points that you have in the back trousers waist. Half it and minus 1 centimeter and make a mark from your right point towards the left. As I said, half minus 1 centimeter. Now take a right-angled ruler. Draw a line down approximately 12 centimeters long and mark to each side 1.2 centimeters. And then you can draw exactly your dart which goes in that position. Now from the middle of that dart towards the end, that bit that I show you there, exactly half it again, make a mark, and again take your right-angled ruler, make a right angled line down approximately 9 centimeters down, and now measure to each of the sides of this new line 0.8 centimeters and draw your dart. If you count the widths of the darts together, you will find out that this is exactly the 4 centimeters that we earlier on added to our measurement for the waist for the back trousers. To draw 2 darts for trousers always gives it a very good fit. Of course, if you do not have a very strong hip, sometimes 1 dart is just enough for you, so you must see how well you want them to fit for yourself. To be able now to draw the back middle seam a little bit easier, take again your front trouser part, put it exactly again in position, as it's no problem with all the lines you do have on. And now look at this one sideways going line that we have there, and mark it on the bottom, take it off again, so you can just extend that line a little bit longer, and then we can finish off the back trouser middle line much better. You can draw this out by hand, but of course it's much easier if you have a curved ruler which you can fit exactly for this part and draw it the way you can see as I'm doing it. Now what you got to consider as well, depending on how you draw this curve. As an example, if you draw it too far towards the left, towards the inside of the trousers, your trousers will pull in. That will not be good. And the farther you draw it towards the right, then you might have some more material in your backing, and that gives extra creases and also not gonna look right. So I suggest make some short trousers out of your first pattern, out of some old material or leftover bits, to really work out, is this the right angle, is this the right curve that I've done there. Then take another slide ruler and even out your knee points, because at the moment, as you can see, we got some corners there, and that is something we don't want in the trousers. We want to really smooth them out on each side of the legs of the knee area. And the same we got to do now on the side seam from the back, which means you can see that on the left top corner right there, as this is still totally straight. We have not curved this, we have not evened it out. But first of all, again, I take a right angled ruler from my waist down and draw approximately 1.5 to 2 centimeters straight first, before I then mark my slight curve for the hip area. With other words, every line that you did draw on your trousers should be evened out for an easy sewing and cutting, and for a perfect fit as well, of course. And in a pair of trousers like that, we should also work a nice double welt pocket into the back. So let me show you where you should position it. Therefore, measure approximately on the height of the small dart from the side seam 5 centimeters inwards to the right, and from the top down 9 centimeters. That is your first point for your corner for the welt pocket. Check your measurements over again if necessary. Then go to the right over a little bit farther than the big dart and measure 8 centimeters from the top, from the waistline down. And now from your first point here to the left, mark it towards this new point you made on 16 centimeters length, because that should be the size, the width of your welt pocket that you want to make. So draw it in nicely, and you can see exactly in which position and how your welt pocket should look like. As I said, I always prefer a double welt pocket, not a single one. It looks better in those trousers. So as you can see, because of the measurements I told you, the pocket does slightly go upwards towards the back, but that is correct. That's how it should be. And all the sides should be in a right angle when you do this pocket into the material. So now we're in the state that we can say we're actually finished totally drawing our trousers. What I haven't mentioned, and which I not need to show you really, is which kind of belt you like to put on. Should it be 3 centimeters? Should it be 4 centimeters wide? Depending on, do you want to put loops on it for a belt? How wide should the belt be? All these things you have to work out yourself, and then you measure your waistline and you cut the belt in the lengths and in the widths as you wish. So now, of course, now we have to cut this pattern out again. Make sure you see all your lines correctly, otherwise slightly go over again to really make sure you're cutting the right part in the right size out. And don't forget, I have to repeat this, none of this has any seams added on yet. So cut your parts out and then put this pattern on a new piece of paper and draw it with all the seams allowances that you would like to have for your trousers. Well, all of you who ever watched my video, I'm coming to the end of this tutorial, and I sure hope that you understood everything as I explained it and could really follow all my steps that I did. If you take your time for doing it, you will find that it is not so difficult to do your own pattern for your own pair of trousers. So I would like to say goodbye for now, and I wish you all the success in the world to do your own trousers for yourself in this kind of way. I say thanks for watching and looking forward to your comments and some nice thumbs up for me. Okay, goodbye for now. Until next time.